was a little girl, I grew up with two brothers, older and younger, and then all boys in my neighborhood. So I actually thought I was a boy because I just didn't know that was a difference because I was like the only girl around. I mean, I knew I had different junk down there, but I didn't see how I was different than the boys. And so I would just hang out with the boys and do everything my brothers and Andy and Bruce and all those guys were doing. And so, so yeah, it wasn't until like people actually like started sitting me down and telling me like, no, you're a girl, like you're different, like you're a girl. But like the way that they would tell me this, it always like had a negative connotation to it, you know? So it was just like, oh, well, you can't do that because you're a girl. It was like, you can't fill in the blank with fun thing that I want to do. You can't do that because you're a girl. You can't play tackle football because you're a girl. You can't, you know. And so I was just like really bummed, like, you know, I didn't want to be a girl. It sounded awful. And then I think my mom was like, oh, but there's one thing that you can do that that boys can't do. And I was like, what? I was so excited, like, oh, what's the silver lining? And she was like, you can have a baby. And I was like 6, and I think at that point I started crying. And I literally remember being 6 years old and being so bummed that I literally wanted to kill myself so I could come back as a boy, because it just seemed like it was way more fun, and I felt like I was getting the short end of the stick in life. And so I remember being 6, and I remember going, well, I don't know what happens after you die. Maybe you don't come back, and that's quite a gamble. So like I can either do that or I can just live my life the way I want to and, you know, do all the fun things the boys do and not put these limitations on myself that all these other people are putting on me. And yeah, so I think I knew I liked girls at that age too, you know. I remember I used to run around the playground and try and kiss girls, and you know, I'd bring them flowers and stuff like that. And then I think I realized that society kind of frowned on that. You know, I could tell, like, I don't know, whatever I was doing was like not correct. And so then I was like, oh, okay. I can't be like that, you know. But I think I always kind of knew. And then I remember, yeah, just like in school and stuff, you know, getting crushes on my girlfriends, you know, and not knowing how to deal with it and being too scared to act on it. And yeah, it was weird. It was hard. I think I especially started hiding it when I decided to go on the world tour, because I saw how lesbians were looked at, and I saw how lesbians or people that were presumed gay or just women on tour that were kind of like not feminine and kind of rough looking. I just saw the way they were treated, and they were treated horribly, and everybody talked so bad about them, and they usually had like no sponsors and looked like their life was hard and they struggled. So I just like, that was like really scary to me. And so at that point I think I just like, yeah, had a lot of internalized homophobia about being gay, and just I got a boyfriend and tried to like hide it. I had a real like turning point in my life when I was, I want to say like 19, early 20s or something. I went to Panama and Costa Rica for some events, and I won the one in Panama, and then we went over to Costa Rica and my appendix burst, and I ended up getting rushed to the hospital, and I almost died. It was like really scary. But yeah, at that point I had already been with a girl, but I was totally hiding it. And I remember being in this hospital that was just like something out of a horror film. It wasn't like in the main city, it was like in some sub-city, and it was really, really scary. And I remember looking around this hospital going like, there's no way I'm getting cut open in here. And they're like, well, you're gonna be in a coma and dead in like 20 minutes, so, you know, get surgery or you're dead. And I remember just like crying, and I remember thinking like, God, I'm gonna die in this hospital in Costa Rica, and like nobody really knew me because I kept myself so like, I hid so much of myself from people because I was scared to lose my sponsors, or I was, you know, yeah, I'm mostly scared to lose my sponsors. And so that experience really changed me when I survived that experience. I think it's not that like I immediately came out after that, but I went to the next event, which was the Roxy Pro in Tavarua, and it was just like all girls, and then Roxy threw in their models and their female athletes, and it was just like Girls Gone Wild on Tavarua. It was so fun. But I just remember like I didn't come like running around telling everybody I was gay or like flinging a rainbow flag, but I just kind of like let my guard down and stopped hiding it so much, you know, and stopped denying it so much, and just it kind of like slowly, kind of just organically let it be known. Money's not everything. I mean, being in the closet, hiding that part of myself, keeping that secret was killing me inside. And yes, I've lost a lot of sponsors. Yes, I make way less money now than I did when I was in the closet. But money's not everything, you know. I'm much happier now. I was miserable when I was, you know, hiding that part of myself. It doesn't feel good. I've spent most of my life like in my head full of anxiety about the future, and you know, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do when I quit the tour? And it's just like all that does is like keep me like really unhappy and really like not present. And so now I'm just, they say that all like stress and anxiety comes from worrying about the future, and all depression and regret comes from like dwelling in the past. And I've noticed I've lived in those places a lot. So I'm trying to just like live like right here, right now.